What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video I'm pretty excited about because I get to talk about my favorite area of running shoes. Now, you and I are runners, we all like talking about running shoes, but I particularly like the niche of daily trainers. And I just have a soft spot for the extreme comfort that they give it. So today we are reviewing the wildly popular Nike Pegasus 38. The Pegasus line has been around for, well, 38 years. It is Nike's workhorse. And we're comparing it against the wildly popular, you know what, this is the most popular shoe that Brooks makes, the Ghost. And this is the Ghost 14. This is how this is gonna work. I have been running in both of these shoes for quite a while. I have formed my opinions. I have gone out, I have thought about my feet for the entire runs. What are the good things? What are the bad things? So let's get into it. Let's get started off with price, because price is a very important thing to consider. There are a lot of us out there that won't buy shoes because of the cost. Of course, if super shoes cost just a little less, maybe we'd see more of them on race day. Although it does seem that every runner out there is wearing super shoes when it comes to race day. But maybe more of us would wear them for training runs. The Brooks Ghost 14 is selling for $130 or 120 pounds. Pretty good price. Pretty good price, not bad. I'll tell you now that it's worth every penny. I certainly didn't feel bad spending $130 on this shoe. But the Nike Pegasus 38 retails for $120 or 105 pounds. That is a phenomenal value. Phenomenal value. And look, I know both of these companies are out there, they're doing their market research, they know what people are willing to pay for certain kinds of shoes. It just seems a little funny that the Brooks Ghost 14 is $10 more than the Nike Pegasus 38. So both of these shoes are neutral daily trainers, and both are available in different widths. The Ghost 14, however, is available in narrow, regular, wide, and extra wide, and the Pegasus 38 is only available in regular and extra wide. So if you have an irregular foot shape, a foot shape that just doesn't fit in with the norm, especially if it's on the narrow sides, the Brooks is going to be the way to go for you. And definitely wins this round because it has more options for more people. Nike says that a men's US size 9 tips the scales at 10.2 ounces or 289 grams. Brooks claims that a US men's size 9 tips the scale at 9.9 ounces or 255 grams. But the difference is even more pronounced when we go up in size. Now, I wear a US men's size 13 or UK men's size 12, and in my size, the Pegasus tips the scale at 12.8 ounces or 362 grams. The Brooks again is slightly lighter in my size, tipping the scales at 11.9 ounces or 337 grams. When I take both shoes in my hands like this, there is a clear difference. The Ghost 14 is noticeably lighter when I'm holding both in my hands. Now, the Pegasus has gained some weight over the Pegasus 37 last year. The Ghost 14 remains the same weight as the Ghost 13 last year. So if you're concerned about the weight of your shoes, if you're concerned about how much weight you're carrying when you're running, Brooks wins this round. Good on your Brooks for keeping your men's size 9 below 10 ounces. The Pegasus 38 has a stack height of 33 in the heel, 23 in the forefoot for a 10mm drop. The Brooks Ghost 14 has a stack height of 36 in the heel, 24 in the forefoot for a 12mm drop. Now, these are both some high drop shoes, and while 10 is pretty normal, 12 seems very high. But that's only because we don't see a lot of 12mm drop shoes. Even when I ran in these shoes back to back, like going out for half my run, running in the Pegasus, coming back, changing shoes, running the other half in the Brooks Ghost 14, I didn't notice a difference in the stack height. So don't let that 2mm put you off if you're considering the Ghost 14 over the Pegasus 38. Let's take a look at the upper, and this is where I first noticed the extreme similarities between these shoes. So if you look at the Ghost, we can see the little laser cut breathy holes running vertical along the toe box. Whereas on the Pegasus 38, we can see the laser cut breathy holes running on the diagonal. That seems to be the only difference. They look very similar. The similarity continues when you go inside the shoe. So both of these are a dual layer mesh. And when you put your hand inside, you can feel those two layers. You can feel the inside. It's kind of feels like a neoprene material before we have this engineered mesh on the top. And while some people may complain that the dual layer mesh keeps their feet hot, and it does, obviously there's more material, you put an extra blanket on, you're gonna be warmer than with one. I think what both shoes are going for is resiliency. So in these shoes, the upper is not going to wear out as quickly as it would if you had a single layer mesh, like a lot of the race shoes use just to save weight. The tongues are very similar this year. Now, last year was a different story. The Nike Pegasus 37 had a very thin, almost like a racing tongue. This year, and this is probably where Nike put on the extra weight, they have gone for a slightly padded tongue. The tongue on the Nike Pegasus 38 is slightly less padded than the Ghost 14. The Pegasus 38 does have a gusseted tongue where the Ghost 14 does not. And normally I would say, I want a gusseted tongue. I want those gussets to hold it in place when it's on my foot. And I still want that, but to be honest, I haven't noticed anything negative from the Ghost 14 not having a gusseted tongue. But still, if we're comparing the two, I like a good gusset like the rest of you. I'm gonna give Nike the win on this one. The heel counter on the Nike Pegasus 38 is It's medium in stiffness. You see, I can still kind of bend it if I press. You can see me squeezing it right here. Whereas on the Ghost 14, the heel counter, it's rock solid. You can almost feel there's a piece of plastic inside that's kind of giving that rigidity, giving that support. And you know what? When it comes down to it, I want my heel to be locked down, especially in a daily trainer when I'm going to be putting so many hours into running in this shoe. I'm going to give this round the heel counter to the Brooks. The heel collar is slightly different. Now you can see it right now as I'm talking to you guys. You can see that the Brooks is much thicker than the Pegasus 38. And it's rather deceptive because of the weight difference. We already know, I've already told you that the Ghost is lighter than the Pegasus, but looking at it, you wouldn't think that's the case because there is so much padding around the heel collar of the Ghost compared with the Pegasus. Now this is a tough one to score. To me, they feel very similar. I didn't notice that there was less padding on the Pegasus than on the Ghost. So because I live in Florida and I'm often out there sweating a lot, I'm going to give this round to the Pegasus for the heel collar just because less material means less material to soak up sweat. But still, there is something just beautifully plush about this Ghost heel collar. Let's briefly talk about flexibility. We can see here that the Ghost is pretty flexible. Let's look at the Pegasus and we can see here, oh yes, also very flexible. I don't know when you would ever have to do that to one of your running shoes, but if you do, know that the Pegasus and the Ghost tie in that ridiculous test of flexibility. Okay, let's get to the midsole because really this is the bread and butter. This is what it all comes down to. We can talk about everything else, but the midsole is what matters. Nike is featuring their full-length React foam. And you know what? Nike's had pretty good results with their React foam. They've also got a 4-foot zoom unit, little airbag, right in the forefoot of this shoe. That zoom unit just gives the shoe a little pop. It makes it seem a little more responsive on the toe off. Now the Ghost has made a change this year. Last year the Ghost 13 had a blend of foams in their midsole. They had the DNA Loft mixed with the Biomogo. Now they've changed it. They have gone to a full-length DNA Loft and they've upgraded it to the V3. I assume last year was the V2, although they didn't make a big deal about the V2. Now this is the main difference. I think this is what it comes down to if you're going to be choosing between the Ghost or the Pegasus. The Ghost is a lovely plush ride, and while it does pick up the pace well, it does kind of do everything okay. I'd put the Pegasus in the same boat, but I would say that the Pegasus feels a little better when you pick up the pace. Perhaps that's down to that 4-foot air zoom unit. Perhaps it's down to just the foam feeling a little firmer than the DNA Loft V3. If I'm going to be picking up the pace, I'm probably going to be reaching for the Pegasus. However, if I'm just going out for a run, for a fairly easy run or a recovery run, you better believe I'm choosing the Ghost 14 over the Pegasus. So this round, as far as responsiveness goes, I'm going to give this round to the Nike Pegasus. Now the outsole, again, very similar. Guys, we've got full-length rubber on each shoe. We can see the little cutouts with the exposed foam just to save weight, but all this rubber is going to make these shoes last. In fact, you know what? I'm going to put a distance on each shoe. I'm going to say that you could run, if you wanted to, you could easily put 600 miles in each of these shoes. That's a lot of miles. If you're a beginner runner and you only want one pair of shoes, both of these shoes are going to fit the bill. You're going to be comfortable. They're going to last a long time. If you've been running for a while, you've got a little more experience, both of these shoes are excellent additions for the daily trainer category, for those bread and butter miles, the miles that make up the most of your week. And if I had to choose one of these shoes, the Pegasus 38 or the Ghost 14, I am going to go with the Ghost 14, and I'll tell you why. This shoe does what it does, and it does it excellent. This shoe does what it does, also does it excellent, and you can pick up the pace. But there are other shoes out there that pick up the pace better. So by now we all know that we all need a quiver of shoes in our collection. There's a shoe for every type of run. And if you're going out for a tempo run, if you're running intervals, if you're racing, you can do that in both these shoes. But there are other shoes that do it better. Comparing these shoes solely on the basis of what they were designed to do, get out there, log a lot of miles, keeping you comfortable, keeping you safe, keeping you injury free, I think the Ghost 14 takes it. Guys, my name's Matt. I post new running videos at least twice a week. Be kind, be happy, run well. See you in a couple of days.